Good morning. Here's hoping you've had a fruitful start to the week. This is NTV Today and I'm Olive Burrows. We start the week with plenty of stories we are covering for you. Judges resume work this morning after a month-long recess, with the country's highest court expected to deliver rulings on election petitions that were concluded last year. This is coming on the backdrop of the Law Society of Kenya seeking to have the Chief Justice David Muranga compelled to create special courts that will sit during the weekends and public holidays. We're also keen on following the ban on 8-year-old second-hand cars, which starts in July. Prices of imported vehicles are set to rise sharply under the new age and emission rules. Trade CS Peter Munya has directed the Kenya Bureau of Standards to draft the new regulations by tomorrow. Speaking of cars, the energy regulator, the ERC, is reviewing prices of fuel, and we're expecting that announcement anytime. The show is loaded, and as we explore the political landscape that saw Deputy President William Ruto express support for the handshake between President Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga. Does it signal an end to the squabbles that have characterized the Jubilee Party post the March 9, 2018 truce? Or is it merely a case of lip service to keep the peace and buy time? We also explore the political realignments in Ukambani, where the Kitui, Makueni and Machakos governors have accused Wiper MCAs of frustrating their development efforts, challenging Kalonzo Musyoka's leadership. Johnson Muthama has fired back, accusing them of being ungrateful. And what of the National Super Alliance? Is it effectively dead and buried? We explore this and more with our panelists this morning. Be part of that conversation by using the hashtag NTV Today and be sure to tag at NTV Kenya. My handle is at @oburrows. First, let's catch up with Martin Mwaura, who's standing by in Muranga. Martin, what are the thoughts on the political landscape in Muranga?
Good morning, Olive. As you have rightly said, yes, we are coming live from Muranga County. Actually, we are at the heart of the CBD. Now, Olive, as you have said, yes, this county, we have seen that there is a lot of turbulence, a lot of politicking that is going on. You know, Muranga is considered like the heartbeat of Central Kenya politics. What Muranga says is what is mostly carried as the decision of the Central Kenya. I just want to engage some residents to tell me maybe if this issue of 2022 has started early, and maybe what is their take on the 2022 politics. Kindly join me. Yes, Barigani, nataka unianzie na majina na uniambie mambo yako ya 2022, unaona kama siasa zimeanza mapema?
Siasa zimeanza mapema kwa sababu kama sasa tuseme uchaguzi ilikuwa mwaka jana, na sasa wameanza kupoliticize kuhusiana na siasa za 2022. Tungewauliza sasa kwanza wafanye kazi kabla waambie Wanjiko vile wanataka 2022. Tutaona venye wamefanya na tutawapima kulingana na venye wamefanya.
Wewe kulingana na wewe, kama ungetaka kuambia wanasiasa nini na mambo ya 2022?
Ningewaambia wazime kuongea mambo ya 22 na washughulike na vile watasaidia Wanjiko. Barabara kuna zenye zinataka kuundwa, kuna mambo ya elimu tungetaka kusikia wakiongelea, wakieneza maelezo kuhusiana na Wanjiko, na tunataka kuona hii Muranga Kenya yote imebadilika na imeendelea vizuri.
Okay. Sawa. Asante sana. Let me talk to another resident here. Maybe you can just start by introducing yourself and tell us maybe your take on the 2022 politics.
Okay. My name is Benson Mwangi, a resident in Muranga town. What I can say is that in 2022, as Kenyans, we will consider those people who have been in office. We will check the work you did for Kenyans. That is what we'll be gauging you with. Yeah.
No. Do you think maybe this politics has already started too early and it might polarize the country?
I don't think so, because politics is a way of life. Huwezi tenganisha siasa na maisha. So ni kujipanga mapema.
We saw recently Raila and Ruto together. And maybe this thing has, there's been a tussle between Raila and William Ruto. Do you think this is a signal of better things to come?
Of course, when there is peace, the country is stable. Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe your last word to politicians.
Politicians, I think it's also a little bit early to engage in politics. I would encourage them to work for Kenyans so that we develop our country. Yeah.
And maybe do you think leaders have been saying that Mount Kenya has been neglected? What is your take?
Not necessarily, because if you go to the ground, you'll see the government has done something. Yeah, to be honest, the government has done something. Yeah, roads are there. Yeah, so many things. Yep. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Olive, those are some just of the views of the residents on the matters to do 2022. We'll be talking to more residents as time goes by. Back to you, Olive.
Thank you very much, Martin. That's Martin Maura reporting from Muranga County. Well, in studio with me, I have two guests to explore the political landscape, as I said earlier. That is the Member of Parliament for Saboti, Caleb Amisi, and Charles Munyui, who is a political analyst. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining me on NTV today. So first, we'll set the stage with a story that was filed by Kennedy Mureithi last night, and then go into the discussion. President Uhuru Kenyatta is insisting on political tolerance and unity among Kenyans in an effort to achieve development in the country. Speaking at the Ridgeways Catholic Church yesterday, the president asked politicians to tone down the political rhetoric. But a decision to leave the church before his deputy spoke and not having recognized his presence while at the podium has set political tongues wagging, trying to make sense of what is happening in the Jubilee Party. NTV's Kennedy Mureithi reports on this unfolding.
President Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy William Ruto sat side by side in church and occasionally exchanged banter as Mass was on. It is the second time they are meeting, at least publicly, since a crisis was reported in the Jubilee Party, pitting the DP's supporters against a section of members who do not want to see him ascend to power in 2022. On Saturday, they were together at the wedding of Meru Governor Kiraitu Muronge's daughter in Karen. Their message in church today was in line with that of the Cardinal's preaching, but it was delivered at different times. President Kenyatta spoke first when he was called to the podium to receive a gift that the church had for him. In his short speech, he did not recognize his deputy, relegating him to one of the faithful, but specifically recognized his mother, Mama Ngina Kenyatta, and women politicians under the Embrace movement who were dressed in white and pink.
We are committed to bringing our people together, to learn to respect each other, to learn to live with one another, because this is surely the only way we can drive our development agenda in this country.
The handshake is bringing every other Kenyan into the fold so that we can together work as Kenyans.
He then left in a huff as it was said he had another meeting to attend to. President Uhuru's move to leave before his deputy had spoken, or not having invited him to the podium to say a word in his presence, is being interpreted differently in the political circles.
Bishop wetu wa Eldoret alikuja kwangu akanifundisha something I never learned in any other church, that you can actually say the Lord's Prayer as many times, especially mambo kikiumana. Unasema mara saba.
Some politicians opposed to DP Ruto's 2022 bid, who had accompanied the president, did not go back to the church after President Uhuru left. Nonetheless, the deputy president stayed back and vowed to bring together the Jubilee Party amid talk that it may be on its deathbed.
As the principal assistant of the president, I want to tell you that all of us in Jubilee, especially, we will rally everybody, every leader behind the development program we have in Jubilee under the Big Four.
Straight after the Mass, DP Ruto, accompanied by a host of Mount Kenya MPs from the region, left for another assignment in Naivasha, where another 30 legislators were in attendance, in what seemed to be a show of support from the expansive region amid the increasing tones of division. 2022 politics and the state of Jubilee Party dominated.
Ni wale watu ambao their work every day wakiamuka wanaona mianya Jubilee. Unaona mwanya umeuona wapi? Kama hujaona mwanya, wacha kusema kuna mwanya.
But as the show of might in Naivasha displayed, KOTU Secretary General Francis Atwoli accused the DP of early campaigns and neglecting the true cry of the common mwananchi. Atwoli, who spoke when he received a delegation of NASA MPs and MCAs who had paid him a courtesy call, said there had to be a shift from the DP's 2022 campaigns or he risked being isolated.
In 1966, they isolated Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, the father of Raila Amolo Odinga. It went on like that, people being isolated. Karanja was isolated. The late was a vice president. Kibaki was isolated. At a certain time, Honorable Saitoti was isolated. Anybody who was showing that type of, politics. And Murumbi, when he realized, our first vice president, that place and in that house there is heat, he just walked away.
At the function to install the new Kisumu Bishop Philip Anyolo on Saturday, questions in hushed tones were raised when the Defense Cabinet Secretary Rochelle Omamo read the president's speech in the presence of the DP, who has insistently said he is the president's principal assistant. Some argue that it may not be much to pay attention to, but with the high political temperatures and seeming rift in Jubilee, some eyebrows have remained raised. Kennedy Muredhi, NTV.
All right. What are your thoughts on that particular report by Kennedy Muredhi? And I come to you, gentlemen, in the studio. Do you think Kennedy Muredhi perhaps read a little too much into the interaction between the president and the deputy president during that particular church service? I'll start with you, Charles.
I think he did. One thing you know about the president that we have and church, he really respects the church. Remember, he's a Catholic, and he has served in the Catholic Church, as it were. And he has always been very clear and categorical. When he's in church, he's in church. That is his mother accompanying him. It's not like he's with his mother every day. And he's seriously, grounded on matters family. So I think, I can't remember the last time you used to introduce your personal assistant or even your principal assistant, as it were. Protocol demands that it should be the DP introducing the president. And I think what the president has always done and wanted to do is remove politics and matters protocol from the church. Dissociate himself from being seen as a person who goes to church, literally takes over the program, and he wants things run like it's a political rally or a government function, for lack of a better way of putting it. But having said that, people will always say things because if the deputy knew that things were that bad, I want to believe he would not have ended up there, because it's not like he would want to go there and get embarrassed, So to me, I think a lot is being read, but also they themselves are also feeding the rumor mills, because when such things happen and one word will change that perception, then they either throw in that word or allow the country to rumor and believe in all manner of things, and even have a show like this one being hosted basically to discuss issues of whether this is what happened. I think we are reading too much. There is no way they are not in talking terms. I saw them laughing and smiling with each other. But I think, to me, the confusion here is whether the president should really introduce the deputy president, because it would now require he introduces every other leader that is in the place. I think there was a governor in there or something. There were MPs in there. And when you do that as a president, I think you lose it. To me, I think it's people have read too much into this, but that does not mean there's no politics happening around what is going on in this country.
Okay. Caleb. Kennedy Muredhi in his report said the president fails to recognize his deputy, just recognizing his mother. Do you agree with Munyui that he did not want to bring politics in the church, or do you read politics by that very action?
Thank you for having me here today. Of course, I don't agree with my brother here, Charles. The office of president and the office of the deputy president are not just ordinary offices. So if there is an extraordinary things happening around their office, of course, as Kenyans, we are naturally left to, imagine and maybe perceive as if they're not working in harmony. And most people have argued that could it be that the deputy president keeps on crashing president's events? Because the question will ask that, was he part of the entourage of the president? Was he invited? Did he just come because he saw in the news it was live and he decided to join him? So these are the questions we ask, because it's not just any extra Kenyan. This is the deputy president of the Republic of Kenya. There is a way they work in synergy as two offices. They have their protocol people. I mean, there must be some way of organizations. They're not just people working in any rally, in any forum, and noticed, working like there are amorphous groups. These are distinct office with some mandate, and whatever that goes around that office, it catches the eye of every Kenyan, and we must question that why is it that the president is there, the deputy has joined him, and doesn't recognize him. We've seen Right Honorable Raila Odinga, even when we were in the resist time, being recognized and at some point being, given an opportunity by the president to talk, even when he was not even part of the executive. So him being a deputy president and is not being recognized, whether he came late for the functions, and probably it's even bad manners to come late after your boss has entered. I mean, you shouldn't even have attended. When you are late, you should even remain behind. Some of our churches we attend to, when you go in and you are late, you actually remain outside the door. You are just waiting to the service to end.
So you believe there was a message being sent?
This is a very strong message, and it's just preceding an event that happened in Kisumu. So it's really a very strong message. And now we should not even be discussing about whether they are together or whether Jubilee is dead or not. We should be discussing the aftermath of the death of Jubilee, because it's clearly dead.
Charles, all right. You say we've read too much into this particular interaction.
Yes.
But by your observation, is there tension between the president and deputy president? Just looking at the overall situation, because by my observation in the past, I found the two have been more affectionate with each other than they've even been with their significant others in public. So do you think there is some tension?
There must be. Remember, this is coming hot on the heels of stuff that was going on in the last 1 or so weeks, where everyone was claiming the fire was being fueled. The fire on matters, Mount Kenya region and development, was being fueled from the DP's office. And because he would be the beneficiary in the event Uhuru is seen as not having performed in Mount Kenya region, because what that would do then would be any association he has within a person with an intent to vying for the presidency will not receive requisite support from Mount Kenya region, them seeing him as not having served them as he should have served them. So I think there is tension, that naturally tension is there, but I think everyone is working towards reducing that tension, if you ask me. And if the DP was not in that particular forum, today we'd be asking ourselves, why did the president go for mass in Kiambu or Ridgeways, and Ruto was in Nakuru? And this is just a distance we would have been able to cover. I think at the end of the day, they need to work really hard. Unless they really want us to see it as a division emanating from the issues that are surrounding the handshake, then they need to really work hard, deliberately work hard to ensure that the rifts that are being seen by the average Kenyan, because not really the analyst and the average politician, is the average Kenyan who is saying things are not okay. Remember, a few days ago, Muranga, who among other things happens to be Uhuru's very good friend and I think schoolmate, has said a lot of very nasty things, including that he would seek an advisory from this Supreme Court on whether Ruto should actually vie for the presidency in 2022. So I think these things are not lost on Kenyans, that it could be coming from that particular, is the president supportive of that particular angle? And subsequently, is that the reason as to why we are seeing all these things happening? So unless that is cleared by them, by way of acting in a manner to suggest that they are together, and even like my colleague has said, pointing out that the deputy president is here, but he's late for even joke about it. At least people would start seeing these people are together. But there is no doubt in the fact that, number one, the president is not happy with the Ruto's colleagues or friends who have been very keen on talking politics 2022 against what he has told them, personally, that they must drop that talk. I don't know how that happened, but they are supposed to drop it. And of course, the issue that is there now of Mount Kenya region and matters development, I think those are two issues that have really incensed him, if you ask me. And by virtue of that, anything that happens around them will be looked at twice, thrice, even 4 times to pick out whatever it is that looks like it's not sitting properly.
Okay.
Yes.
Which leads me to my next question. You said there's a deliberate effort to quell what the president, this talk of there's a rift in Jubilee.
Yes.
So Caleb, do you think that the remarks then that the deputy president made thereafter in Naivasha, to the effect that he supports the handshake and we need to, as it brings all Kenyans on board, was an effort to pacify the waters, so to speak?
Yeah, I think it was a good move on the side of the deputy president because after realizing that things are not the same again, it doesn't take a rocket science to tell you that the current recent events clearly shows that things are not moving in the right direction. So the step he took to urge, and it was a congregation of almost 30 members of parliament. That was quite unprecedented in a Sunday, getting 30 members of parliament. So this shows that it was actually a well choreographed church service that was well planned, maybe subsequent to the current events that are happening, so that he uses that opportunity to, to maybe also regain himself, because I think the deputy president was really doing things that left people wondering. Does he does he even have advisors, people who stand with him and tell him, hey, look, you are not doing things the right way? Or is he just surrounded by sycophants who just cheer him up without really, standing up to him and telling you are not doing the right thing? Because that is a very critical office that you need a team of. Most successful leaders have had a team of, President Kibaki had a team of all people who could advise him and say, no, this is not how to handle this situation. But the step he took yesterday, trying to now say, hey, look, the gentlemen, we've been too much on politics, let's calm down. And I hope he lives up to that, because politicians are fond of saying one thing today, the next day they have jumped back to their normal, and probably if you are used to that, you may say it today, tomorrow you are just doing the same thing. So we hope, we want to watch the statements he said yesterday, if he's going to sustain, and if his actions from now going forward are going to match his words yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Charles, should we then expect moving forward a meeting perhaps of the party organs or of the parliamentarians to sort of bridge this rift that we've been talking about within the Jubilee Party?
I don't think so, because this Jubilee was a vehicle. Let us be realistic. Jubilee was a vehicle. It has a manifesto. The moment we go back to political party matters, I think we lose sight of what even the president has said. He's the president of the Republic of Kenya. Him is focused on serving Kenyans. The moment they reduce it to a matter of Jubilee trying to reorganize internally, then we go back to 2022, because that's naturally what's going to happen. We'll start filling these seats, talking elections, political party elections, and that kind of, those kinds of arrangement. And I think the president is really running away from that, because the moment you go back to that cocoon of political parties and start acting as if you are the head of Jubilee Party, I think he's run away from that. The handshake has introduced a totally different dispensation, and he's more comfortable in that particular dispensation, if you ask me. And he has seen the issues they identified with Raila Odinga, the ones that the BBI, the Building Bridges Initiative, is running around the country on, as a task force to identify how to mitigate against the same and give a report. I think he's more concerned with that. So I am not seeing a scenario whereby the issues of Jubilee as a party will headline the politics in the near future. to me, I think everyone is being told to toe the line. And if you remember, and if you listen to, even to William Ruto, he has talked about supporting the handshake. So it's not about reorganize the political party or Jubilee or this or the other one. Jubilee is represented in this arrangement by the president, no less a person than the president. NASA is represented by Raila Amolo Odinga, and the thinking that Ruto must be on every table when these people are having a discussion, I think is erroneous, because even Kalonzo is not, and was running mate to Raila Odinga. I think to me, it's more of a president and a Raila personality that are moving forward with clear issues that they are waiting for a report to act on. And you've seen things being dropped, including the president the other day saying issues inclusivity. This thing of a winner takes it all is something that we must address. And I think what should happen, if I was advising the deputy president, would be to accommodate some of these things and work around it. If he's going for the presidency, it's not like he's going to do it from a different platform. If you talk about inclusivity, because I think Kenyans are frustrated with the devolution. They expected matters health to be sorted out by now, you know, basic health. It's not happening. They expected pre-primary education, nursery schools. You can imagine governors have not done nursery schools. They are busy giving bursaries to universities and secondary schools, which is weird if you ask me. So people are frustrated. Even county roads, the small ones, for lack of a better way of putting it, there are no roads. Infrastructure is really bad. So that having happened, I think people are more focused on a central kind of arrangement again. They are looking at the national cake as having gone back to the national government, and I think much as a lot of them might not agree with that, but I think for everyone to now feel comfortable, I think these issues of BBI should be given to us. The report should come, we look at it, and then we see how we move forward so that every Kenyan feels like they belong. And I think that the president, that Raila are really keen on.
Okay.
Yes.
Speaking of BBI,
Yes.
part of the people who attended that particular church service were from the Embrace movement that was launched just the other day. And on the cover of one of the dailies, we saw a picture of Gladys Wanga and Anne Waiguru hugging, and I take it was news.
Yes, it was. It was.
It was perhaps unexpected. Is there something these women know that we don't?
And there's nothing that they know that we don't. I think there is a general feelings across the country that our constitution need to be looked into. We need an overhaul and an amendment to the current constitution, because it is maybe the cause of our troubles every other election. And as much as we are waiting for the BBI, there are groups forming themselves. One is now Embrace. At a time like now, when we have such a political dispensation, historically, we've had groups coming up. Embrace is just one of them. Maybe there are others. There are actually major groups coming up, I can tell you, that have been formed to actually champion this cause of constitutional change. And I think the BBI team also needs to fasten up things, because people are really waiting for so much time, not knowing. And you know, a referendum, if it has to be effective before 2022, then it has to happen next year. If the referendum knows something that is just in one day event, it's actually almost a 2-year process. So the BBI team must be told that the Kenyans cannot just be waiting and they're talking about BBI, handshake team. We need to come out and find out what are the views that they have gathered across the country and what is the next step. Because we cannot, if we are shifting from 2022, then let us not now shift to BBI, so that we just be talking about the Building Bridges initiative, a whole topic for the next 4 years. We need to consider it, whether it has given proposals, what has it, like from a personal point of view, not necessarily the party's position. I believe that it is a time this country needs to look at 7-year presidents. Why? Because you cannot effectively change a nation within 5 years. If you stand up for an election, you have an idea, you have an agenda for your country, you cannot change a nation in 5 years. It's not possible. That's why the leaders who come up, who win election, they spend their first, the moment they go to the office, they start campaigning for the next term, because they're worried. That's why you hear turn or tenor, because there is this general feeling that I have not accomplished all that I had promised, so I need 5 more years. But give him 7 years or 8 years. So if he doesn't accomplish all that he had promised within 7 years, then he has no business. We're wasting our time looking for another term. But for 5 years, he has all the reasons to ask for another 5 years. So, and it does not even need to be held within the same time of the other electoral post. We can have a presidential election at his own time, because most of these MCAs and MPs are elected courtesy of the bigwigs. Somebody come out, is just coming to tick, maybe for example, Uhuru Kenyatta, and now in the process they end up also ticking the MCA. So he didn't actually come to the ballot to tick the MCA. He came to vote for Uhuru, and then by because of the six-piece kind of voting, they just also tick. So that's why we end up with a crop of leaders that we don't know how they came to office. Because of combining ballot papers together, you don't know. Let people just come to vote for the president, so that we parade the individuals who are hoping to change this country, who have shown their interest, and we wake up in the morning, go to the ballot to elect a president. Yes, okay. Those are some of the views. These are the discussion, the discourse that must start immediately. We are not talking about just a referendum. People are even moving around, campaigning against it. You do not even know the question. So what are you campaigning against? A referendum is not something you campaign against. There must be a question. So you do not even know what you are changing. Probably these people who are moving around will agree with us.
But it does seem like the battle lines have already been drawn, pro and against. Charles, what came to mind when you saw that, when you heard about or read about or watched the launch of this Embrace movement?
I think women are really organized, and women have a way of coming together in spite of coming from different dispensations and quickly working on a leadership structure that can easily permeate those powers that we talk about and actually lead from the front. And I think that's what's happening, because every time, if you look at the way they even fight for matters, women, even the bills that we've been trying to pass for ages, they come together. It's not about you belong to this particular political arrangement or the other one. They have a way of coming together. And if you look at all of them, if you ask me, when you see they look at the future, 2022, and where they will be, and the arrangement that can work for all of them across the board is an arrangement where all of them in a concerted way work together. So I think, to me, everyone is looking at this BBI, and remember the BBI is a task force. Its mandate will end the moment they give us a report. So beyond that, groupings will take over. And ultimately, if we end up with a referendum, there'll be committees for referendums. And everyone is trying to come up with an arrangement, then, number one, to be able to sell their agenda within an organized structure, and that is the only way you look strong. Again, they want to present a common front, if you ask me. So it is a lot to do with people saying this and acting differently in their individual capacities, because if you look at them, at the moment they're not together, they're talking a different language. And all of those people are quite ambitious. Those ladies are quite ambitious, if you ask me. And they just want to shape history, if you ask me. And they know by coming together, they're not like our brothers here, the gents. The gentlemen are fighting, even today. And it amazes me when you see people going to Naivasha, members of parliament, claiming Mount Kenya is not doing well, and present a memorandum to that effect to the president. And a week later, they are saying everything is okay, simply because one of them has come out and said things are not okay. I would rather they said we agreed on these issues and we presented a memorandum to the president. Why would you want to come out as an individual and want to own that particular arrangement that we have? You cannot say everything is okay when a week earlier you are out there telling us things are not okay in that region. So I think this is the kind of thing women avoid. And when they come together, trust me, and they push that agenda to its logical conclusion, they are more organized than our brothers.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. I want to move away from the Jubilee politics onto NASA politics. Several events were held yesterday. So I want to again set that particular context. We had prayers that were held ahead of the Embakasi by-elections, and we had Edwin Sifuna address the faithful. So let's listen in on what he had to say. All right. I think before that, what we have ready is Ford Kenya Party leader Moses Wetangula.
The party has already nominated yours truly as a presidential candidate, something I gracefully accepted. We have not engaged anybody, and we are not about to engage anybody. We have not sent anybody to anybody for whatever reason, because we know that we have a candidate, and the candidate is here speaking to you. And this great Ford Kenya, the members and the leaders have instructed and advised me, and have accepted the instructions and the advice that I go anywhere and everywhere in the country to make friends, to make alliances, so that the people of this region can, in the history of this country, also be able to produce a president for this country.
All right, now let's listen into that particular clip that I had mentioned earlier, and that is of Edwin Sifuna.
On Friday afternoon, Nairobi Governor Mike Sonko attributed his delay in nominating his deputy to the need for consultations after a request by the NASA coalition to have Rahab Wangoi nominated for the office.
I shall not be forwarding the name of my deputy governor nominee today to allow for further consultations. I will, however, nominate a suitable deputy governor at the earliest possible opportunity after these consultations are done in full.
Sunday morning, one of the constituent parties in NASA, the Orange Democratic Movement, has refuted the claims.
Kama ODM hatujaulizwa, hatuna haja, hatutaki kuhusishwa na ile shida inaendelea hapa Nairobi kwa sababu ya ile makosa mlifanya wakati ya kuchagua Sonko.
The ODM Secretary General has told the Nairobi governor to carry his own cross and not allege that the opposition has a hand in the governance of the capital.
Sisi hatutaki kuwa hapo. Tunataka 2022 yeye atoe ripoti ya kazi ambayo amefanyia watu wa Nairobi, na tutakutana na yeye mundu humundu kwa debe, kwa sababu chama cha ODM kitakuwa na candidate wa chama cha ODM wa governor 2022.
The latest twist now delays the naming of a new deputy governor since the resignation of Polycarp Igathe on January 31st, 2018. Lawyers Karen Nyamu and Jane Weru, alongside Bishop Margaret Wanjiru and Agnes Gagure, were among those previously shortlisted for the position. Jubilee Party MCAs rejected Miguna's nomination on the basis that he was not a member of the party. Political commentators argue that the governor might be deliberately refusing to name his deputy as a way of self-preservation against having someone to outshine him, a matter he has been said to not accommodate or fearing an ouster through the county assembly. Seth Olale, NTV.
So, gentlemen, who is telling the truth and who is lying between Sonko and Sifuna? What is the situation? You have Sonko, if I can quote him, who says, I was ready with a name for deputy governor this morning, but I received a request from NASA that in the spirit of the handshake, I should consider Rahab Wangoi for deputy. And Rahab was Wiper Party's candidate for the Nairobi Woman Rep seat in the last election. What is going on there? I'll start with you, Caleb.
I think Governor Sonko has taken political gimmick to another level. For a long time, he has been playing around with his office. And it's a high time he stopped because this is a capital city of our nation. The governor of such a city must be a person who actually is an orderly guy who does things even constitutionally. The handshake. Who said the handshake is about sharing positions? Where is it written that the handshake was to, to fill any vacant position with a NASA person? President Uhuru Kenyatta and Right Honorable Raila Odinga have made it clear that the handshake was about looking the ills that bedevil this nation year in, year out.
Okay, but if I can come in there,
yes.
To the best of your knowledge, did NASA write to him and ask him to nominate an individual
yes.
from the camp?
Edwin Sifuna is the Secretary General of ODM.
Yes.
ODM is an affiliate of NASA.
Yes.
So when the Secretary General is saying, I have not written to Sonko, if Sonko claims that he has an agreement with NASA or a request, then he should show us in terms of, because most of these requests must be written in some form of a letter, even an email or a text message or a WhatsApp message. So he needs to show Sonko to come and say, hey, look, this is a letter I received from NASA. If there is an absence of a letter, then we are now left to believe in Edwin Sifuna and not Sonko, because Sonko has also delayed the naming of his president, his deputy. This is not the first time. And I think we are right to say that this is maybe a delay, just a delay tricks that he's applying so that he eventually does not end up with a deputy, so that he runs the show himself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Charles, do you believe the governor when he says he received a letter from NASA, or do you view it as Caleb is saying, that these are just delay tactics?
I don't really care whether he got a letter or not. It is the governor who is supposed to come up with a name for the position of deputy governor. In fact, you're not supposed to give us 4 ladies. Give us Kagore, Agnes, and we move on. Or whoever it is. Don't tell us I'm giving 4. I know you can give 4 to the county assembly, but who told you to give 4? The law and the constitution is very clear. You identify your running mate, and in the event that particular deputy governor is not there, you pick someone else to be the deputy governor. Why would you want to get into these shenanigans of picking 4 or 5 or 6? Why would you want to confuse us like you're being very nice? You want to take this to the county assembly for what? Why would you pick 4? Number 1. Number 2, the county executive committee, Nairobi, is supposed to have 12 members, the cabinet, including the governor and the deputy, and 10 CEC members. And I am not sure, looking at the appointments he did, I don't even think he could meet the quorum, because you are supposed to have more than half, which is 7. I think the county government of Nairobi, the executive, has been operating without a quorum for quite some time. And unfortunately, that is how many governors have been running their affairs. It's only that Sonko is prolific, so we always notice what he's doing. Again, he's running the city county of Nairobi, where all of us are. But if you look at devolution, that is not what was intended to have. We were supposed to have a very serious team of a maximum of 10, and the governor and deputy to come up with matters policy, and have county chief officers, implementing through the administrative arrangement, all the way up to the ground, where we have what we call ward administrators and village administrators, as it were. But that is not happening. And if you look at the issues that are bothering us in Nairobi, it amazes me, because Nairobi is not like a rural county. Nairobi, issues of water just need a bit of working on to be sorted out. Issues of even roads, infrastructure, basic infrastructure, electricity, connectivity is not an issue that should be bothering us. And security is a function of the national government, other than maybe lighting that the county government can assist with. You would expect Mike Sonko, the governor of Nairobi, to find it very easy to run the county of Nairobi. And he must appreciate now that he's not competing within one. He's actually the governor. In Nairobi, the most he can be is a governor. So I don't know why he would have a feeling that having a deputy governor, a substantive deputy governor, would in any way erode the powers that he holds in terms of being the governor of Nairobi.
So that's why you think he hasn't named a deputy.
And I don't think he's going to name, because to him he must always hold a card. And I think that's the wrong way to operate. That card is not working. We are not saying even the deputy governor is a panacea to the problems that we have in Nairobi. But why don't you just name that person? At least we know you have an assistant, a principal assistant, to quote from the deputy president. And when you do that, people relax. Again, this is something he has promised time and time again. He's saying, I'm naming now, I'm naming the other time, I'm naming the other time. I have a problem with people acting as if the people you are naming, you're just naming them Moi used to say, wacha niwapatie muone kama, you know, the vice president. So when you have that attitude that these are people I'm just giving you, but at the end of the day, they are powerless, it's not like they're going to solve your problem, what are you saying? Are you saying you are wrong in having that in the constitution and the law, that you need a cabinet consisting of so many people? You are supposed to have a substantive assistance in the name of a deputy governor. I think he needs to come from where he is, come down to where we are, give us a deputy governor, pick one person, not 4, not 5, pick one person, take to the county assembly, then let them work. Because today, Kenyans are thinking the reason as to why Nairobi is not functional properly is because there's no deputy governor. And that, it can't be far from that. You know, that's far from the truth. Yeah. We need to have a county that is functional, especially the executive, and he can do that. He can easily do that. Again, why would you want to announce this in Mombasa? Come on. It's akin to the president announcing his cabinet in Kampala. There's no difference. Why don't you come here, announce it here, the city, so that we can see if there's garbage flowing all over, we can see it. I don't want to see the sea behind you.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you for staying with NTV Today. My name is Olive Barrows, and with me in studio is Caleb Amisi, who's a member of parliament for Saboti, and Charles Munui, a political analyst. So, gentlemen, let's just look at some of the responses our conversation this morning has elicited. We have Adhere Kavins saying, unless it is a national or state function, I do not think the deputy president should be following the president to every event. They end up losing respect for each other. And Mwadhiki Joshua says, let us not lie to ourselves that all is well between Uhuru and Ruto. Yesterday he left church before Ruto spoke, and he came after the president arrived. Same to the wedding in Meru. I believe that was of Kiraitu Murungi's daughter. And he had to welcome CS Defense in Anyolo's installation ceremony. So there is a rift. That is the view of Mwadhiki Joshua. We had, however, moved on to the politics of the National Super Alliance. I just want to play that particular clip by Moses Wetangula one more time so that we refresh our memories.
Panda kwenye mabega ya Kalonzo siasa ya Makueni, na Kalonzo kunisukuma mimi ni kuache wewe usimame, nikijua haufai, ungetokea kama gavana wa Makueni. Mutua nilikukataa kutoka dakika ya mwisho ya mwanzo, na kama Kalonzo angenisikia mimi, Mutua ungekuwa gavana wa Machakos. Nilisema chungeni huyu Ngilu na chama chake cha NAK, na haulizwe kama atafanya kazi na Wiper akiingia. Na kama Kalonzo angenisikia, Musila ndiye angekuwa gavana wa Kitui na Kitui ingekuwa shwari.
I apologize. That is Johnson Muthama, former senator of Machakos. Appears my director wants us to move on to this particular topic, yes. But we will come back to it. Just some technical hitches there. But speaking of Ukambani politics, do you think Muthama's remarks are warranted, that if it was not for Kalonzo Kivutha Kibwana and Alfred Mutua would not be in their seats?
Well, I think he's living in the past, because those guys are elected. It doesn't matter what party played in them getting nominations. I think what he's telling us is that we are the mercy of the owners of political parties, because I want to believe he was very close to Kalonzo, and if he had not gotten the tickets, as it were, whether he got them or not, notwithstanding, they would not have gotten to those positions. And that is unfortunate, because to me, you cannot be on national television telling us that you are the one who controls a political party, and by extension, the running of that political party, to the extent that if it is not you, then the other individuals that were elected would not be so elected. Now, even worse, if you go out there in the public domain, everyone is talking about Ukambani. If it's Kivutha Kibwana, everyone is saying he's done a swell job. Remember, this is his second term. The first one was saved by the president when, through the issues they had with the MCAs, the president decided, I'm not dissolving the county government. Mutua, first term, everyone was talking about Mutua. All the polls you guys were running was leading in terms of infrastructure development, in terms of all these things. In fact, we play football in Machakos, for God's sake. At minimum, you might not give him any other credit. Ngilu factories is coming up with things that a lot of other people have not, and Kenyans are wondering why even governors would want to go out of the country to benchmark, yet they can go to either any one of these counties in Ukambani to benchmark. So when an individual wants to tell us, an individual from around them wants to implode the politics of Ukambani by claiming that these people are not, he didn't even talk about performance other than the issue of Musila. The other ones is not about performance, it's about the fact that they have a problem with Kalonzo Musyoka. And I think those are the politics we must move away from. Kalonzo Musyoka cannot play God again. I think now devolution is real, and people are keen on development in their own respective counties and wards. So if you want to use your communities to ascend to national political power, then you need to work very closely with individuals that are working well with the local communities in terms of devolution. And I think Mudhama should be the last person to talk on behalf of Kalonzo. Kalonzo can be able to mobilize these people, talk to them, reason with them, the issues that they have. And remember, someone like Ivuda is on his second term, so naturally he's not coming back. And I don't think he wants to go home and you know, by way of retiring. So the space that he can only negotiate around is Ukambani politics. So I want to believe that's the main issue. There cannot be anything else. Mutua the same. Mutua also would like to be the kingmaker from around Ukambani. So that is local politics. But Mudhama, no. Anybody else maybe. But in fact, Kalonzo should have a voice on these issues. He should be the one talking and saying these things, but not Mudhama.
Okay.
Yes.
Caleb, do you think the success that these three leaders have enjoyed are attributable to Kalonzo Musyoka?
Yes, to some extent, but it is often said that nature abhors a vacuum. I think there is a point we've reached in this country, especially after the handshake, that every region or every community are realigning, because we are going to have many coalitions going forward from now onwards, very new realignments, and they are just seen ahead of time that of course going forward we are going to realign. It's not going to be business as usual, but the approach they have taken is what it has left me wondering. I mean, these are very senior leaders in this country. Charity Ngilu has even vied for presidents of this country. She has served in very senior ministerial posts. Same case to Alfred Mutua. Alfred Mutua served with President Kibaki as a spokesman. The other professor, Kivuda has worked closely with President Kibaki at a very senior level. I mean, I didn't expect them to approach politics the way they have done. Politics of personalization, attacking a perennially, you know, leader of a community so that you ascend to power. I think this is backwardness. This is politics of dinosaurs, not in this current.
Okay, but
yeah?
I mean, but if you look at what motivated them to come together, they're saying Ukambani has suffered from poor leadership,
yes,
and that is why their people have been stuck in poverty.
Yes, but
is that not a legitimate point?
It is not a legitimate point. Why? You've been in that leadership. You are the governor. You are a sitting governor. It's not that you are out of the leadership. If you are in a position to solve the problems you think have bedeviled the Ukambani for many years, then why have you solved them as a governor? Say up to at this point I've served as a governor, my people, I have done this, I have done these changes. I now want to extend the same change to the rest of the country. But you are sitting there as a governor, instead of coming up and telling the nation that as a governor for the last even 10 days, I've been able to do this and this and this for the community, or for the people of Ukambani, and therefore I hereby, want to extend the same to the rest of either Ukambani region or the rest of the country. But why attack a leader who has been? If you think he has not performed, you are now a leader. Now perform. Let the people see the results. Why are you attacking Kalonzo for you to ascend to power? And remember, Kalonzo at this point in time is at his weakest point. In politics, never attack a weak candidate. I mean, a weak perceived opponent. Because Kalonzo now is at the weakest point. They have,
what makes you say that?
The weakest point in a point that politically, they have failed to get the presidents together with Raila Amolo Odinga. The second stab at the president, they have also failed. So this is not a leader to attack. You only attack a leader in a high position for you to probably, you know, have a support base. But attacking a leader who is down, you've seen him to a point where Kalonzo said that I am ready to be a mtu wa mkono. So this is a person who is on his lowest. So do not attack him. You are actually making worse for you by attacking him. If Kalonzo was a vice president, then you'll earn a lot of marks by attacking Kalonzo and say, you are a vice president. What are you doing for the people of Ukambani? But here is a person who is mtu wa mkono. And you are a governor, a sitting governor, attacking mtu wa mkono.
Actually, let's actually listen to some, before I come back to you, Charles, and get your reaction. Let's actually listen to some of those reactions that followed Kalonzo's statement.
Wakati Kalonzo alitangaza kuwa yeye ni mtu wa mkono wa Mheshimiwa Uhuru Kenyatta, alimaanisha nini? Maana Mudhama anajulikana kama mtu anasema mwaka wa 2022 Kalonzo anastahili kuwa rais wa Kenya. Lakini sasa matamshi yake yamesua maswali mengi sana.
And that mtu wa mkono statement rubbed not only Mudhama the wrong way, it also rubbed Kivutha Kibwana the wrong way. But Charles, do you agree with Caleb that Kalonzo is at his weakest politically?
I think I need to buy my brother the 48 laws of power. And law number 15 says, crush your enemy completely. And in as far as Ukambani is concerned, Kalonzo is an impediment. He's the one who will stop these people from ascending to those positions where they can be able, quote unquote, to help their people. And I think that's the issue here. As they are busy serving the people on the ground, Kalonzo is busy aligning himself so that he can still take over a position of leading that nation in national politics. And I think that's what that's where their acrimony is. They wanted to slow down anybody relating with him. They want him to appreciate that no. He does not enjoy the support that he has always enjoyed in Ukambani. And here we are as a leadership of the whole Ukambani nation telling you that in as many words, elected and serving well, as it were. So I think that is where it is, and they will work on him until he's not able to be seen by whoever it is that he wants to work with as a credible person to deliver Ukambani when that time comes. So they are right. I mean, in politics, you do things at the right time, and it might not look like it's making sense, but today we are talking about it because of all of a sudden we thought Kalonzo was a kingpin in Ukambani, but people who should be working with him, who have always worked with him, who have said he's the best person around other than Gilu here and there, and she ended up having to, to toe the line. They are saying, no, it's not him, across Ukambani. So in terms of perception, forget reality. Kalonzo is not the Kalonzo we used to know, politically speaking. So, and I think they will continue having a stab at him until that time. In terms of the issue of Mutu ya Mkono, that was desperation. I don't know why the choice of words was amazing, because he could have said the same thing but using different words. And even his biggest supporter and defender, Mudhama, had a problem with the words, because he's saying he now has to clean him and repackage him to give him out as the presidential material for 2022. And he said that in as many words. So I think that has really taken him back. He has come out as someone who wants to serve under other people. He cannot take the initiative and basically rise on his own. He needs to be propped all the time. And I think that is why even his people have a problem with him. And even Mudhama, other than the interests that maybe are not properly defined in the public domain, I don't see why he would want to, because he fell short of saying this man does not qualify to be presidential candidate in 2022. So we are going to see a lot of that, because unfortunately our politics is defined by regionalism and ethnicity. So we'll see that Ukambani area trying to realign.
Okay. Yeah. Caleb, this is the second Wiper Party chairman who has, quote-unquote, revolted against the party leader. The first was David Musila, who questioned the leadership of Kalonzo Musyoka, and now we have Kivutha Kibwana doing the same. Do you think it's an issue with how he runs the political party, Wiper?
Yeah, there are, of course, we need to accept that there are weaknesses that have been betrayed by Kalonzo before. My only divergent of my view is that the way the other, potential leaders from the region are coming up is the wrong way. I think there is a vacuum in leadership. And like, for example, the three governors who have come up to, to cast some doubt on the leadership of the vice president, the former vice president. So who among them wants to take over? Because you can't have three leaders at the same time. So what are they up to? Who do you want to endorse? Are you going to lead the three of you as a pack? Are you going to make a coalition? Because each one of them have their own parties. So at the end of the day, we do not know. So who do you think wants to be the king then?
Well, they were launching something called, I think, the People's Empowerment Movement, and their argument is that they're focused on development issues
I think that let them focus on development, and the people of Ukambani will see their development, and they'll choose them and their kingpin. You see, development will not come by attacking Kalonzo. Just develop the way you've come together, do the development. Let the people of Ukambani will one day come and say, no, look, because of the work these three governors have done, we feel as the people of Ukambani that the time is now for a new leadership, for a new dispensation, and they'll choose you automatically. You don't need to attack another leader. You remember, this leader you're attacking, now supporters, you can see supporters coming up. So if you're attacking plus their supporters, who do you expect will be your support base? Remember, even when Obama was vying in US, there are so many ills that were committed by the past regimes, Clinton, Bush, but he never attacked their leadership. He never attacked the dynasties, because he needed their support as well, because those dynasties have their support base that you depend on. So if you don't have their support, who will vote for you in if you are attacking them?
Charles disagreed with you then. He was like, you need to crush your enemy completely.
My take, and moving forward, this is where we have to go. And I was praying that this works. We have 47 county governors and two arms of government. We have a legislature, because we have MCAs, the assemblies, and we have the executive, with the full cabinet and the administrative arm of the same. It was expected that the national leadership would actually come from there. If you perform very well as a governor of Kiambu, then we would want to elevate you, because Kenyans from other parts of the country are hearing what is happening in Kiambu. If it's happening very well in Kisumu with Anyang' Nyong'o, then Kenyans want to forget about Raila for a bit and focus on this other person that has come out, the new sheriff, who is doing very well in that particular place. Unfortunately, like my colleague is saying, it is not that easy. Kenyans have never appreciated development as a foundation around which, as a basis around which you pick a leader, especially to lead you in national politics. In fact, many people who get to those positions are people who have no clue what development is all about. They're just focused on politicking and hyping and showing you that they're going for some non-existent national cake to bring down to you. And I think this is what the Musila, the Mutuas, and the Kivu, the Kibwanas are trying to change. They are saying, we have shown that we can give our people water. You've been our leader. You've been the vice president of the Republic of Kenya for so many years. You've not given our people water. We have shown our people that they can actually have a factory here to process fruits. We have shown our people that we can have a hospital to be proud of. They don't have to rush every time to Kenyatta National Hospital for treatment every time an ailment of this or the other nature hits them. Why would you now want to steal the show by way of, again, pretending to be higher to the throne that is vacant, as it were? So I think that is what they are trying to change. And it can only be changed if my brother and I also on national television tell people, let us refocus our thinking in terms of the leadership that we want to install at national level. Because if you put someone at national level who has no clue how to take care of basics, even when they have had an opportunity as members of parliament, as this or the other one, as even high offices like the vice president, who at some point you could have actually influenced development to be dropped to your place in cartons. How can you now again want to come back when we have a devolved system of government, when people are functioning and functioning well, and you're telling us, much as you're doing all these things, this is not what we need in national politics. We still need me, because for no reason. So I think that's what they're trying to change. And by talking about it, coming together, saying it, yesterday, maybe people didn't see it that way. Today, 20% or 10% of Ukambani leaders, as our people, are seeing it and asking themselves hard questions. Should we go for this team that is talking about specific things that they've done within the short period of time that they've been in leadership? Or should we go for Kalonzo Musyoka, who has been in a position of power, could have been able to help us, but he never did? If that is worked on, trust me, within the next 2-3 years, those people, one of them will emerge as the supremo in that particular region.
Okay. Would you agree with Caleb or Charles? Charles says, according to the 48 laws of power, you should crush your
enemy completely.
Crush your enemy completely. And Caleb says it is bad form to kick a man when he's down. That is what you said. Let us know your thoughts. The handle is at NTV Kenya. The hashtag is NTV Today. Let's get some thoughts now from Rongo, where Bernard Ojwang is situated.
Well, thank you very much. We are here in a Wendo town where we'll be interacting with the locals here. Remember, last week you had some ODM leaders saying that they were warning Jubilee leaders not to drag the name of Raila Odinga, the ODM party leader Raila Odinga, into the rift in Jubilee between leaders there. And so they were saying that the main reason why Raila Odinga united with the Uhuru Kenyatta was at least to bring peace in the country, at least to ensure that Kenyans are enjoying the fruits of leadership here in the country. And also you had some of the old Jubilee leaders criticizing themselves. Some were saying that they will make sure that they bar Deputy President William Ruto from contesting come 2022. And also you had Moses Kuria before apologizing, saying that the government has neglected central Kenya in terms of development, meaning that is a drift between Jubilee in the Jubilee Party. And now we are just going to talk to some of the locals here. Just tell us, what do they think? Do they think the handshake is the main cause of the rift between Jubilee leaders, especially when they are now warming up for 2022? Join me here. You'll start with your name. Songa hapa karibu. You'll start with your name, Songa hapa. Do you think the handshake is the main cause of rift in Jubilee government, Jubilee Party?
Actually, the handshake is not the main problem of rift between Jubilee and ODM, because first of all, as we see, that one was the only option that Raila and Uhuru should do for us to move in a march, because we had ODM and Jubilee. They now are having major people, and more people are in ODM. Most of people are also in Jubilee and many parties. So we have to, for us to move, we have to make a handshake, and so that's the reason why we have to say that handshake is helping, because nowadays those agendas that has been made are now helping many people.
Currently, there is a rift in Jubilee Party. What do you think about this?
Oh, the rift in Jubilee Party is because, as I can see, the Jubilee Party, the problem here is vying for 2022 post, which is not reached, because we have to wait, because there is still around 3 years to go, and we are in a developing scenario. So we have to develop fast so that at least on 2022 we can have something to say. So currently I would like to say that I'm proud, and I would like to I'm very much proud for the handshake. I'm not lining on one side. I'm saying that handshake is the most.
Well, thank you very much. I'll speak to another person here. Join me here. What do you think about? Kuja hapa karibu. Kuja karibu. Kuja. What do you think? Currently, there's a rift in Jubilee Party. What do you think is the main, the bone of contention here?
The bone of contention is just leadership. Okay, the bond is just leadership. Yeah, there's problem of leadership wrangles in Jubilee. So if there is a problem in wrangling of leadership, there has to be a problem. So that is the bond of contention. Yeah.
So what do you think should be done?
What should be done in any other place that society, that peace is prevailing, one thing that they have to do is that to sit down and then they talk, they maybe polish their differences, then they move forward. The main thing is to sit down, and also they respect the rule of law. They respect each other. So having respected each other, and then they respect the leadership. Having done that one, there will be peace. Yeah.
Okay, recently you had some ODM leaders, they were warning Jubilee leaders not to drag the name of ODM party leader Raila Odinga into the rift in Jubilee Party. Do you think handshake is the main problem here?
The problem cannot be handshake. In fact, the best thing ever in this country is the handshake that has brought peace, prosperity, and development. You know, one thing that I personally support handshake is that, number one, it has tribalism has been a problem in this nation. And you know, from the handshake, we've seen that the communities are coming together. So they are coming together. You see, there is peace. You see, movement is there. You see, we are moving freely. So the most commendable thing in this nation is the handshake. And if anybody is speaking ill-motively about the handshake, he must be somebody who has a problem. Yeah.
Maybe you as a Kenyan, what's your message to Jubilee leaders now? Because Jubilee is the leader, is the party that is ruling the country now. What's your appeal now?
My appeal now is that as the Jubilee is the party that is ruling this nation, they have to know that they are the people who are ruling this nation, and they have to take the front line to make sure that this nation move forward. It will force them. It is a mandatory that they have to sit down and to polish everything for this nation to move forward. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. I'll speak to another person here. Join me here. Okay, you'll just tell, join me. Currently we have this issue of the rift in Jubilee Party. What's your take over this, you as a Kenyan?
I don't. The rift in Jubilee, I don't know. I don't think it has been brought by the handshake. And actually, the leaders should just sit down and iron their issues in an amicable way, than bickering around, moving around, and even abusing each other. Actually, it doesn't augur well.
Many Kenyans are saying that the Jubilee leaders now showing bad pictures because the Jubilee is the ruling party that's ruling the country. What's your view over this?
Pardon?
Jubilee is the ruling party, and many people, Kenyans, are really criticizing that because of the wrangles in the party. What's your view over this?
I think the leadership in Jubilee should just sit down, and I think the deputy president and the president should just sit down even with Raila, and this thing should be ironed out in a good way, rather than moving around and using abusive languages, which is even dividing Kenyans. Yeah, actually, it is. We are going back to tribalism, which went down when the handshake came about.
Okay, well, I think I'll speak to another. Join me here. Currently, there's a problem in the Jubilee Party, and many leaders in the Jubilee, they have been saying, they have been criticizing the unity between Raila Odinga and President Uhuru Kenyatta. What's your take over this?
Ya, inabidi Jubilee ikae chini pamoja na Raila Odinga ili kazi iendelee vizuri, kwa sababu wakitembea na kuongea maneno ambayo yaleti, naona ni kama Kenya itaenda pazuri, kwa sababu Ruto anajaribu kutembea akijaribu 2022 apate kitu, lakini kulingana na vile wanampiga haileti. Inabidi watulie kwanza, waendelee na wakae chini, waongee ikuwe vizuri.
Je, unaona hii ndio wakati inaofaa watu kuzungumzia, Wakenya kuzungumzia siasa za mwaka 2022?
Wakati bado kwa sasa hivi. Inabidi wakae kwanza, maendeleo yaendelee kwanza, ndio waje waongee baadaye. Lakini kwa sasa hivi inabidi wakae, watu waangalie tutakaa vipi, maendeleo ikue kwanza. 2022 bado hatujui nini kitafanyika kesho. Baada ya hapo ndo kazi itaendelea vizuri. Kwa hiyo inabidi watulie kwanza, wangojee ni nani atakuja. Wanajua ni kama wanapiga mpira za chini kwa chini. Kwa hiyo endelee kupiga mpira, lakini kikubwa zaidi maendeleo ikue zaidi.
Currently, we have wrangles at the Jubilee Party. Do you think handshake is to be blamed over this?
Hapana, haistahili kwa sababu ili Kenya ikuwe vizuri kwa sasa hivi ni kuwa pamoja. Handshake ndio imeleta mambo imekuwa vizuri. Ingekuwa ni kubaya hata wewe usingekuwa umesimama hapa, lakini handshake imeleta mambo kwa vizuri. Kwa hiyo naona handshake bado ni nzuri, lakini wakae chini waendelee kuongea kama kuna kitu inaharibika. Yes.
Well, thank you very much. You've just those are just of the views of Wendo town residents. They are saying that Jubilee, as the ruling party, they should at least show a good picture instead of coming up with the wrangles each and every time. And they should also be in the front line in supporting the handshake, because before the handshake, the country was not moving forward in terms of development. And currently, after the handshake, there is peace and people are now united, and they are appealing to Kenyans, especially Jubilee leaders, both Jubilee and ODM leaders, at least to unite and bring Kenyans together. And they are also saying that it is not the right time for Kenyans and Kenyan leaders to talk about politics, 2022 politics, but it is the right time that they should serve Kenyans, since they are before a handshake, the Kenyan really wasted a lot of time. That is the demonstration that we witnessed there before in 2017, 2018, and they are saying that it is the right time that Kenyans should get the benefits of this handshake that President Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga made late last year. Back to you.
Out of Rongo, brought to us by Bernard Ojwang. Now we cross over to Muranga to get their thoughts.
Oh, thank you so much, Olive. Now, as you know, Muranga County is a Jubilee stronghold. Now, Jubilee has been rocked by wrangles since the handshake. And we'd just like to get comments from the residents to tell us, maybe, do they think that the handshake has brought a lot of rift, and maybe the reason why they feel like we are discussing the 2022 in very early. Okay, Mheshimiwa, yes. Kindly start by introducing yourself and tell us maybe your views.
Okay, my name is Honorable Charles Mwangi Nganga, aka Chagakiwan. I'm an MC representing Chagaki Ward. I'm still the caucus, Muranga County caucus chair, and I do represent Central Province in the County Assembly Forum. That means that one of the National Executive Committee member in the executive for the County Assembly Forum. Yes, and when you talk about this sort of the handshake itself, to me, I do appreciate, and Central Province MCA and MP appreciate about it, because what we have been looking for is something that can bring peace, harmony, and in fact, it was long overdue. And the moment they came over and they made a handshake, the country and everywhere became calm. So to my observation and to my whatever I've been thinking about, the handshake is very important. It's only that some of the peoples, everywhere, you cannot find 10 people working in the same boat. You have come from different ships, but people fail to understand that we are in the same boat. So if people can understand that you're in the same boat, the only problem is that there's somebody who is trying to at least put something like a link in the boat so that it can be emerged. But to my thinking capacity is that the politics is there. Development can be achieved when we have a harmonized country and when we have a peace. So for the sake of the country, we are okay with the handshake. It's okay. Then this issue of 2022 politics. In fact, you see, when somebody has an inferiority, he always shouts. This is to avoid other people's, or to know how, to distract the people's when they are focused. So if you find somebody is talking too much about 2022, check very well, investigate well. He has something that is not okay. And that's the main reason why you find those people talking about 2022. It will not be there. We should be focusing on development. Other issues which are coming over, those will be personalized issues. Like now, we are talking about development. Like an example is this Muranga County. We have already seen road being tarmacked. We have seen road being gravelled. We have seen hospitals being upgraded to level 5. We have also seen criminals like Muranga County criminals which is coming over. There are many issues which have been coming over. Like predecessor during the time of President Moi, well, there was this thing like a National Cereal Produce Board. When we were talking about agriculture, like National Cereal Produce Board, which is based in Managua, tungepata fertilizer, tungepata chochote. But at the moment, each and every time when we have the rainy seasons, fertilizer is there. So, to me, I think handshake is okay.
Do you think the handshake is ripping Jubilee apart?
No, it's not ripping Jubilee apart. As I have said, it's only that person with inferiority power. That's the only which is causing disharmonizing. There's no any harm with the handshake. What usually happens when, like now, when I found like Mr. Muranga, when he was talking about the Jubilee coming over, encroaching each and every person, that is a personal view. We are stable. We are not going to change. And if it's come to 2022, believe you me, yule Mwenyezi Mungu atakuwa amemwagilia mafuta ndiye atakuwa kiongozi. Nothing else. Hii ingine politics tuachane naye. And on the other hand, as leaders, we should not be complaining too much. We are supposed to give a solution. But most of us now we are finding that we rather than giving the solutions, we are complaining too much to an extent that they don't, even the Wajiko who elected us, she is also failing to understand why she elected us. She is complaining and you are complaining. Nobody is giving us a solution. That's the mistake we are having.
Thank you so much. Okay, let me just get a view from another young man here. Maybe kulingana na wewe unaona ni kama siasa imeanza mapema sana 2022?
Okay, kwanza niseme mimi naitwa Philip Kamau na mimi ni mkazi wa hapa Muranga. Maybe what I can say is that about the 22 politics, it's too early to talk about the politics. This is a time in which we are supposed to be focusing on the developments. Like now, if you start talking about politics, time of politics will come and we will just talk. But for now, let's focus on the developments that were the main reason as to why Wajiko voted for our leaders. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Okay, let me talk to another gentleman here. Maybe just briefly, do you think we have a debt to pay in 2022 as a resident?
No, it's not exactly that's a debt to pay, but it's a promise that what we promised, we must fulfill the promise. We don't. Let us not take it for granted that some work was done, and some sacrifices were done, or some were made. So let us not take things for granted, and just. It will not be good when we take things for granted. Let us appreciate the work which was done, the unity which was there, and we still encourage more unity. But let not some people take advantage of the handshake and take it to be something else. Yeah.
Do you think maybe this handshake is rocking Jubilee apart?
Yes, exactly. Because some people are taking a handshake to be something else, and they are taking advantage of that. That's why Jubilee is going apart. And if they don't be very careful, things will not be good. It will bring more, it will be worse than good. But if you are careful, things will be good. That's my feeling.
We are seeing some people from other regions maybe like predicting there's going to be like 2007, 2008. Maybe what is your take?
My feeling is that that's why I'm saying if you are not careful, that thing might be maybe a repeat of 2007, 2008. But God will help us, and we be very careful, and we instead of uniting some people, then making others to run away from let us look for a way that you can unite the whole Kenya. We are at Rift Valley, now we are at maybe Western. Let us bring Western, Rift Valley, Central together. That one will not appear in 2022. Yes, we must be very careful and we be cautious because some people are taking advantage. And if we don't be careful, if we will not be careful, things might come to the worst. Yes.
Let me talk to one last person here. Maybe you can give us your views about 2022 in a brief.
So your first question was about handshake and the current political situation in country. And I would like to say this. Handshake is something that we as Kenya required. And it was meant to stop the tribal ethnicity in this country. And as you and me know, politicians in Kenya thrive in ethnicity, the demigods, the political kingpins. But with the advent of Handshake, that brought to a halt. But there's a section of leaders in this country who are hell-bent in frustrating Handshake so that in 2022, there will be demigods in their political regions. And if you remember well the sentiments of President Kenyatta in Nyeri when he said that his choice for 2022 presidential candidate will shock many, I think there are some quarters who are very shocked and have choreographed a measure in diluting or saturating President Uhuru Kenyatta's Mount Kenya kingmanship. And that is why they have come up with a decoy or a propaganda that there are no development projects in Mount Kenya. That is so wrong. Leaders should not pretend that something has not been done. Because if you look at the Deputy President, William Ruto, in the last 1 year, he has come to Muranga specifically for 8 times. He came to Gataga during the launch of Gataga Kionyi Road. He came to several projects, and they are ongoing. So I think they want to frustrate Handshake because Jubilee, the agreement between Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy was to unite the country and bring about development. But it is not coming forth. So maybe Uhuru thought that because it is coming forth, he thought of looking for Aida so as to unite this country. But some quarters are not happy about it, and they are out to frustrate Handshake and the unity that Kenya is feeling. Okay. Yes.
Thank you so much. Okay. Olive, as you have just heard, those are just some of the views from the residents of Muranga. Taking you back to studio. Olive.
Well, gentlemen, unfortunately, we're running out of time, but I did want to get your thoughts on one other matter. Unfortunately, we'll be unable to delve into the Western Kenya politics and the calls for unity, and Wetangula saying he will be running for the presidency in 2022. But in an interview with the Sunday Nation, the leader of the majority in the National Assembly, Aden Duale, I'd like to quote exactly what it is he said, but he said technically that there is no MOU between President Uhuru Kenyatta and the Deputy President William Ruto. To quote him verbatim, he says, yes, the President and DP Ruto were paired candidates in 2013 and the 2017 general elections. To the best of my knowledge, there is no written MOU between them as regards the 2022 general election. Furthermore, there are no political debts owed to anyone, but the Jubilee rank and file in all our strongholds are happy with the development record of the President and his deputy. And when the time comes, we shall present the candidature of the DP through the party's nomination process to the people of Kenya. Delivery of our manifesto and the Big Four agenda will be our selling point. Does that surprise you, Charles?
It does, but I think they have come through. They have understood the mood of Kenyans. First and foremost, saying there is no MOU, written MOU, mark the word written. It's like saying the Roman Catholic Church Pope is a Catholic. It is true there is no written MOU, and if anything, that MOU would not be legally binding. But I think that is not even what he's saying. What he's saying is that that talk must be dropped because it's not adding value to their campaign. Because a lot of things now have changed in terms of the campaign for the DP. It's about delivery. Remember, he was Tanga for one reason only. He said he's the one the president is sending to identify development projects and launch them. Mount Kenya region is saying those projects cannot be seen. So I think even the Tanga aspect must change into something else. And I think what they are doing is changing the campaign style. They are going to be less antagonistic, and they are going to present a DP who is easygoing, not antagonizing the handshake, who is just biding his time, and when time comes, he launches a proper campaign. And I think that is what this country needs. They're embracing the handshake for real, because as long as you're campaigning, actively campaigning, because even going to church is still campaigning, but it's easy, it's relaxing, people understand that is presence in itself. As long as you're not doing hardcore campaigns, everyone is okay with it. As long as you're not moving all over the place, launching projects that are not being taken through to fruition, that is still campaigning, and it might actually end up working against you. So Duale is so saying is a good thing, but I wish he can send that text to his colleagues so that they also slow down on this talk of Denny, because there are others that don't seem to read from the same page.
Okay.
Yes.
Caleb,
Yeah.
does Duale's statement surprise you?
It does surprise me because Ndwale has been an ardent supporter of Deputy President, and I think the same statements, he couldn't have said it, a few years when they were campaigning together during the 2017 elections. They were all singing about 10 years now and then 10 years for the president. But now, because the political scenario has changed, he has to change tune. And I think Ndwale is also in a very precarious situation because he does not know how things have shifted to whose favor. And written or not written, MOUs in this country have just been a red herring. This is just a decoy to... in politics, you cannot even promise somebody I will support you tomorrow, because politics changes. Any minute it can change. So the person you think could be accepted tomorrow, when tomorrow comes, this guy will be an enemy of the people. So you cannot use an MOU and they say that now I have a debt to be paid. There's no debt. This is democracy. You don't use words like debts in democracy. It's about people electing who they think can serve them best at the right time. So any time in politics, there is always different circumstances that requires different kind of leadership. And you cannot, present a leader 10 years from now and say from 10 years to come, this will be your leader. You cannot do that in a democracy. That's used to happen maybe when you have a monarchy or something, a hereditary kind of leadership. But in a democracy, you cannot promise to have a leader in the coming years. And MOUs, whether they are written, anything that is never anchored on any legal background, that is not actioned by the Attorney General's office, then it's just null and void. We cannot be talking about MOUs in politics.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, for taking part in this morning's discussion.